Welcome to the Farm to School podcast, where you will hear stories of how youth thrive and farmers prosper when we learn how to grow, cook, and eat delicious, nutritious food in schools. And we're your hosts. I'm Rick Sherman.
And I'm Michelle Markestein. And we have two guests here today. Why don't you introduce yourselves?
Paul Davis and my wife, Toni.
Nice to be here.
Where are you from?
Southeastern Oregon, 110 miles southeast of Burns, Oregon.
Okay, and that, for those of you who don't know Oregon, paint us a little picture of what that's like in very southeastern Oregon.
I think I can help with that.
Yeah.
I'm a newcomer there. I've only been there for 38 years. Our nearest town is Burns, and it's 110 miles away.
Wow.
Not what you call a big city. No,
No, Burns is a small town. I'm going to say approximately 3,000 people, but I'm not positive.
Yeah. Do they have a traffic light?
No, I think they have two.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's pretty remote out there.
We are very remote out there. The first time I went out there with my husband, we were just dating at the time, and about 40 miles from the ranch, I finally got up the nerve, and I said, "Where are we going? And how well do I know this guy?"
Oh.
Because it was a long ways from anything I knew. Jordan Valley, we'd gone through Jordan Valley, and he had told me they lived just a little ways out of Jordan Valley, and then he just kept driving. Well, that little ways is 112 miles away.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Well, and when people think of Oregon, they think of like evergreen trees, tall forests, lots of rain. What's it look like there?
I thought the same thing. I was wrong. We live right at the base. The ranch is right at the base of a 10,000-foot mountain.
Wow.
And it's stark. It's absolutely gorgeous. It changes every single day. And then there is, on the other side of us, there's a dry lake bed.
Yep.
And it's roughly about
11 by 6.
11 miles long and 6 miles wide. There you go. And it's the Alvord Lake bed. And so the ranch is situated right between the two. So it's absolutely gorgeous mountain range with rocks and there's trees. There's a few.
But it is a desert, right?
But it's desert.
High
it's
desert.
High
and then the
country.
ranch is in between, and it's all meadowland in between
Yeah.
there. So it's absolutely, it is beautiful. And it did take me a little while because I was expecting mountains with trees and lakes and running rivers, and it's not exactly trees, lakes, and running rivers, but it's lots of creeks. There is lots of water. You don't realize it until you see it from the ground.
No.
And it's gorgeous.
Fun fact, when I've driven through there a few times, and when you go like on your way to like Reno, Phoenix, Tonopah, I've driven through there, and like I told the story of how my son was driving, I fell asleep. 3 hours later, I thought we had moved. It looked the same. He's like, "No, Dad, you've been out 3 hours," and it's like, "That's the same mountain." No, and it was like we drive and we'd see a house, and I'm like, where do they get their? If you have to go somewhere to get a tank of gas, you would take a tank of gas to get to the gas station.
It does.
It seems like it's just very remote. So
It is remote, and sorry, Oregon, we do most of our shopping in Idaho because it's actually
closer.
Boise, Idaho is
Yeah.
only 200 miles away from us. So we
Only 200.
Well, and this brings up a really good point, Paul. Like, how did you find your way to the ranch?
My family bought the ranch in 1969, 70, somewhere in there. We're arguing. 70s, I understand. But anyway, I was 3 years old, so it tells you how old I am. We just moved out there. Predominantly runs 2,500 mother cows, and I've been there all my life.
Is that how many cows you still have?
We predominantly hold 2,500 cows.
Wow.
There's three things that you might find where we live. That you got Steens Mountain, you got the Alvord Desert, and then Alvord Hot Springs, pretty famous in the state of Oregon for one of the hot springs, and we've owned that forever too. So when you look us up, that might put us where you might pinpoint us where we might be or are.
So what's a day on the ranch like? Like, what's a day in your life?
Boy, it varies. It depends on what age you're talking.
What do you mean? Your age?
Or,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So my belly's getting bigger because I'm getting lazier. No, it varies. Every day's different. I wouldn't trade it for the world, and that's what makes. I'm lucky because my day is never consistent. Every day's different. I have a variety of things that we get done, and so it's different for me. I can't tell you. It's not the same. Every day's different.
How about for you?
mine's a little more consistent than his. We are lucky to we have 5 of the most hardworking children in the whole world. And so they have, over the years, have stepped up and taken over a lot of the activity that we did before. We don't have a cookhouse, so to speak, on the ranch. We use our own house for the cookhouse. And so for the last 35, 6, 7 years, I've done all the cooking for the crew. And so we might have 5 people, we might have 25 people eating in our house 3 meals a day.
I love that.
And so up until just recently, my daughter-in-law and one of our sons, we have a set of triplets, and his wife, one of the triplets' wives, has really stepped up and has taken a lot of the cooking duties away from me. So my life has slowed down a lot just since October. So that's been kind of nice that she's willing to do it.
So how did you get involved in selling to schools, and what do you sell?
And just so people know, we're still at the Oregon School Nutrition Association state convention, and so we just saw these wonderful people across the way from our booth and
we had to talk to them.
We tend to grab
photos.
people.
Their daughter did these photos that we'll put on our website that are phenomenal.
But farm to school typically isn't just fruits and veggies, and in some parts of the country where you can't grow anything because when you put your shovel in the ground and it goes clank, you do ranching, and that's farm to school, right? So ranching, and like, how did you guys, did the light bulb come off, and how did you get involved with the schools and stuff?
And lean in really close.
That's an intriguing question. Yeah. So with the hot springs that we have on the property, I've learned that people are there to camp and have a good time, and they're looking because it's on the ranch, and the ranch, we're selling our own ranch raised beef down there, and that's the intriguing thing that people want that. They want to know where it comes from. Yes. So I'm sitting here going, wow, farm to table. Huh. Well, we're selling yearlings. When they leave the ranch weighing 850 pounds, they're going to a feedlot, and then they're finished there, and then they go and move on from there. We lose track of them from when they leave the ranch. And we're sitting here going, well, people want to know where their meat's coming from, and we're selling more and more and more all the time because people are very attracted to where it comes from, and they know where it's raised. And so this got my attention, thinking farm to table. We're taking the middleman out of it. The cattle, you know where they come from, and when they get to your table, you know the whole trail. That's the intriguing thing got me. This is what you guys are doing, the farm to table.
And that is it. And I am seeing, you can hear the din is rising. The nutrition service directors are coming, so we are going to let these two go off and meet the folks. And we just really appreciate you being here.
Yep. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for listening today. The Farm to School podcast was written, directed, and produced by Rick Sherman and Michelle Markiston, with production support from Leanne Locker of Oregon State University. This podcast was made possible by a grant from the United States Department of Agriculture. The content and ideas on the Farm to School podcast does not necessarily reflect the opinions of Oregon State University, Oregon Department of Education, and the United States Department of Agriculture. The USDA, ODE, and Oregon State University are equal opportunity providers and employers. Do you want to learn more about Farm to School? Check out other episodes, show notes, contact information, and much more by searching Farm to School Podcast, OSU. We would love to hear from you. Stop by that website that we just mentioned and say hello and give us an idea for the future podcast. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time.